Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. It's Andrew Turner, and this is with Dr. Stelios. Hi, Dr. Stelios. How are you?
Hey, I'm great. Thanks, Andy. How are you?
Shall I be formal as that? Calling you Dr. Stelios, or should I just call you Stelios? What's it?
Whatever you feel like.
Okay. So this is the next episode of Thriving the Age of AI with co-hosts, and glad you're all here listening to our little weekly dive into all things that are happening in the AI world and how you can thrive going forward on that. Um, One of the things we were just talking about before we came on live today was about an announcement that actually was announced the day after our last episode by our friends, well, BFF. I don't know if it's BFF. I know that obviously Stelios is always talking to Sam Altman. Just like what do you think, Stelios? What do you think? Should we release it? Should we release it? So apparently, there's a new release of some models. Is that you've been playing with? Is that right, Stelios? You've
Yeah,
been
yeah, exactly. It looks like they have now, OpenAI has a proper schedule of model improvements, and they're investing heavily into reasoning models. So they released the O3, the full model, and then O4 mini and O4 mini high. So the way it works is now they release a full model, and then they release an early version of the improved model. Yeah. So depending on what you need to do, uh, like the old model, let's say O3 in this case, might be better than O4 mini or O4 mini high, but it kind of depends on what you want to do. Also, in terms of the high model versioning, they release two models. One is the mini, which is built for speed, and the other one is called mini high, which is a bit slower but better than mini. And then after that, they're going to release O4, then similarly O5 mini and mini high, but we don't know when. Andy, hello?
sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, so because one of the things I was just going to ask you about was because obviously you got the free version of ChatGPT and you got GPT Plus, which is like the $20 or £20 a month kind of license fee. But what I noticed, I don't know if the UI's changed, but what you used to have to be able to do, you could actually change the model you could actually work on. I don't know if you've seen that. How do you know which model you're in when you're in the UI? Is there a
Oh, it
particular?
shows you. Yeah, it shows you. And it has recommendations, right? So it tells you, now the best at reasoning is O3. And then the best at fast reasoning is O4 mini. But if you want my
Oh, I see.
opinion, yeah, if you want
Mm,
my opinion, I've been playing with both. And I see that O4 mini high, that is the more expensive version of O4, but not the full model,
mm.
seems to be fundamentally different in all sorts of different ways compared to O3. Like the way it interacts with code and logic, it feels there's some qualitative change which I can't really describe, but the vibe is quite different, if you know what I mean.
Is it like more human, would you say, or is it just kind of like more chatty or
It's just
more kind of
smarter. No, it's just
just
smarter. So
smarter?
again, these are
Oh, just
reasoning
smarter.
models,
Okay,
right? So
right.
it's not about chatting with it and getting cooler responses. It's about saying, hey, I want to build an algorithm or to write a piece of code to do X, Y, Z.
Mm,
And it works quite fast and it gives you the right answer, like quite sometimes at the first go. Obviously, it depends on what you do, right? I only started playing with it like last week, but it does feel different. So O1 and O1 Pro are not deprecated, right? So before that, O1 Pro was the recommended model, but it was slow, right? So essentially, it was an old model that was running on a lot of GPUs. So maybe you'd have to wait for 10 minutes to get an answer. So these new models, they're also way, way, way more efficient. So I suspect that because they're more efficient, they can also run more chains of thought, perhaps in parallel, to find a better solution. So it looks like speed is of essence in terms of improving the quality of the answer.
so it's kind of like speed and parallelism as well. So it's running more kind of like
Yeah, that's obviously
decision trees.
speculation, but that's my
Mm,
feeling. That's
mm,
speculation, but that's my feeling.
interesting. Yeah, no. So yeah, that was one thing that we wanted to briefly talk about. The other thing was that I mean, it's kind of like I suppose it's a bit of news, but you probably, if people have seen the history of OpenAI, they know there's a lady called Mira Murati who's actually Albanian, and she was obviously the OpenAI CTO, and then actually when Sam Altman left temporarily, she became the CEO. So one of the co-founders, she left, and I think just literally about a week ago, or less than a week ago, it was announced that she's just got secured $2 billion of funding already for her new startup called Thinking Machines. So I'm interested to see how that plays out.
Okay, that's interesting to hear. Yeah, I don't know how much of a competitive advantage someone can now have in terms of LLM research and things like this. But I guess she believes she does have an advantage, so let's see.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I was out because when I was because I do the stuff in Tech Cornwall, down in Cornwall in the UK, and there's a thing called Slushed, which is like a startup community that's run out of Finland. That's got different like locations around the world. And I nearly went to Albania late last year to do a presentation about what we've been doing with Tech Cornwall. And the interesting thing was that talking to the CEO of that Slushed Albania, Mira Murat is obviously quite a hero in Albania because obviously, if you think about the origins, because I think you're from
Yeah,
Greece originally, aren't you?
yeah, correct.
You're like a celebrity in Athens and Greece, or
Yeah.
the island that you're from. I'm a celebrity in Yorkshire, which is obviously, I'm joking. I'm not a celebrity at all. You talk to these different countries and the different people in these different countries about, because usually people come out of these certain countries, but obviously it's good to see the diversity of people being recognised and obviously doing well in their kind of careers. So I just thought it was an interesting little snippet of story from that. And then the other story that I saw was about NVIDIA. So I spoke to one of my friends in South Korea, actually in Seoul, yesterday, and apparently there's a massive issue with NVIDIA that because there's something about NVIDIA or companies in China can't buy NVIDIA chips. And then I just saw the announcement recently that NVIDIA are
Mm,
actually going to be setting up a new manufacturing plant in the US.
mm.
So there's a real supply issue in Asia and particularly in China around GPUs capacity. So obviously, I don't know if that's deliberate or how that's going to play out. But obviously, Jensen Huang, I looked up. He's originally he's actually Taiwanese. So obviously, there's always an interesting like dimension about the geopolitics around Japan and Taiwan and China. So be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I think this is more geopolitical than anything else. And yeah, this hunger for GPUs on behalf of AI is insane. Actually, if you think about it, AI is quite inefficient, right? So I'm not an expert in GPU architectures and how they can be optimized for neural networks, but I don't know how long we'll keep you on this track
Hey,
for.
you will be by next week. I'm going to buy you one of those dummies guides, like dummies guides to GPU architectures, and
Yeah, I
I'll
think I
test
could
you on
use
it.
that one. Yeah, thanks a lot, Andy. Appreciate it.
Maybe we could write one. Maybe I wonder if it's been like those yellow dummies guys, the wily ones. I wonder if there's one on GPUs.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's one for everything, right?
One of these interesting because I don't know if you saw, obviously on my other show, the GNC sessions, I interviewed Steve Suarez the other week, and he spent 20 years at HSBC, and he was head of global innovation for HSBC in London. And he actually, I think he's originally Colombian, and then he's been in America. He's now moved to Dubai, and he's got his own business called Horizon X, and he's doing a lot of quantum consulting now for the UAE government and also for the various different corporates around the world. And he was just saying that the quantum is obviously going to be completely different in the way that it processes data and actually how applications run on quantum. I don't know if you've come across quantum or you've looked at that at all.
Yeah, actually, we have a course on quantum computing for leaders in the Tesseract Academy. So obviously, it's an emerging field. So uh, there's a lot of things covered which might change in the near future. But it's so different compared to traditional computing, and it's going to bring profound changes in everything pretty much. So that's pretty much what we cover in that course. Like, how can you become quantum resistant, for example, as an organization? How can
That's interesting.
yeah. What are like the fundamentals of quantum computing? Interestingly enough, you can actually rent a quantum computer on a cloud service provided by Microsoft. But as you can imagine, all these things are still in their infancy. So you get a computer with like 8 qubits. I'm not sure how much they charge for this, and its recommended use is in physical system simulations, like in chemistry, things like that. So it's not really recommended to do this for, just to play around with some code in Python or anything like this. But actually, one more thing is Microsoft has also created a quantum language, right? So I don't remember the exact name, but yeah, it's essentially, it looked a lot like Java or C++, but it has primitives for quantum programming. Yeah, quite interesting stuff. Yeah, fascinating.
Well, no, I mean, the reason I was also thinking was also because Steve's a bit of an expert in quantum. He spent a lot of time experimenting with that at HSBC. So I suppose I didn't realize actually. I mean, just as a disclaimer, I did not realize you'd actually got a quantum course on Tesseract Academy. That's my bad. Like spank my hand. And but that's great. I mean, that's great for people who want to learn more about quantum. But maybe as we talk about we talked about getting some guests on in the future. Maybe we can get Steve to come along and talk to us about quantum and what he's finding in the companies he's working with across the world. Maybe that's an interesting topic for people
Yeah,
to
yeah,
learn more
absolutely.
about.
Yeah, we should organize this. Yeah,
And I know as a bit of because I know you're about to kind of like get on a plane and travel across the half of the
yeah,
world to Londinium again, i.e. London. But one of the things I think we talked about was actually bringing on one of your esteemed guests as well. So we're gonna. Do you want to explain that to the audience so we can line that
yeah.
up as
Just
the
have
next
to
session?
coordinate with her. I mean, it's worth mentioning that we're organizing a workshop on AI storytelling, how to use AI for better storytelling, which has applications in areas like marketing, product, UX, UI, and all kinds of different things. I don't want to disclose too many details yet because we still need to figure out a few things. But yeah, I think that's going to be a very good guest for the podcast as well.
So yeah, so so what we're gonna do is we're gonna do another episode and invite this lady on as a guest, and we can have a chat about what the curriculum is going to be for that course. Is that the idea? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I mean, do you want to talk about what you're going to be doing next week? Because you're going to be doing some stuff in London. Do you want to cover
Yeah,
that briefly
correct.
and just let people know?
Yeah, correct. We're organizing a data strategy event with Samir Rahman around Old Street on the 1st of May. It's a full day workshop. And then after that event finishes, we're organizing a tokenomics workshop in person in the same space for anyone who's interested in Web3 and tokenomics.
Okay, so we're about a week away from that
Yeah.
timeline. So we'll make sure we get the episode published in the next 24, 36 hours so people can actually we can publish obviously also the links to register for those events if that's helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, that's another week of it's amazing what happens in a week. I'm sure we've missed some things that are going on in the AI world, but I'm sure hopefully you found this little episode snippet useful, and we'll continue to record things on a weekly basis and publish it. I'm not deliberately here with this strange jacket on. It's just that I just want to keep warm because it's raining outside where I am. It's probably
Okay.
like Barbados, sunny where Stelios is, but he's not telling me anything. He's just smiling and just I've no idea what the weather's like over there. Is it
Yeah,
good? Is the weather there good?
it's actually a good day. It's quite warm here.
You see, Stelios is in this nice place called Europe, and I'm in this on this island called UK. So that's why I have to put up with all the terrible weather. But next week, Stelios will have to put up with the terrible weather as well, which is good. That's like payback time. All right. Well, thanks very much. That was Andrew Turner, and that was Dr. Stelios Kampakis. Thank you for listening today, and we'll put the stuff out in the next few days. And any questions, we'll publish the stuff on Substack, publish stuff on X, and look forward to speaking to you in the future. And if you've got any ideas about any future topics on the episodes, then please let us know. Thanks. See ya.